Tonight, locals urged to turn in any illegal guns as part of a national amnesty. And one of Broken Hill's most expensive pieces of art in store for a much-needed touch-up.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening, but first tonight a last-ditch attempt by Liberty House to buy Arrium appears to have failed, with the Administrator Korda-Mentha confirming that they're exclusively negotiating with POSCO. Negotiations will now continue with the Korean steelmaker to get a final deal done in the next few weeks. Our reporter John Hunt has the details.
Yesterday afternoon, Liberty House surprised everyone by making a revised bid for Arrium's Australian operations, despite POSCO being selected as the preferred bidder. The British steelmaker's audacious bid, however, appears doomed, after Korda-Mentha effectively ruled out a change. It emerged in national media reports that Liberty, led by industrialist Sanjeev Gupta, had put in a revised bid for the company. The bid was reportedly fully funded and emphasised Liberty's reputation for revitalising troubled steel assets. Last Thursday, Korean steelmaker POSCO, which is a part of the New Lake Consortium, was chosen by the creditors' committee as the preferred bidder. Yesterday's revelation set tongues wagging as to whether the 12th hour bid would change the current situation. But when questioned at last night's council meeting about the news, Korda-Mentha's Sebastian Hams all but ruled out a surprise twist.
We are running with Newmate as our preferred bidder, and that is a very short answer to your question.
His comments were backed up by a statement from KM, which stated the creditors' committee had overwhelmingly selected the POSCO bid. Negotiations will continue over a joint government assistance package before creditors officially approve the final sale. It's expected major investment will occur at the wireless steelworks around iron making and power generation. Arrium has been in administration since April last year. Now, Liberty House have also stated they are willing to step in should the opportunity arise. But with POSCO considered the preferred partner, the chances of the British steelmaker owning Arrium are fading by the day.
South Australians are being urged to hand over unlicensed guns and ammunition in the largest national gun amnesty since the Port Arthur massacre. The amnesty starts on July the 1st and runs for 3 months in a bid to crack down on illegal weapons being used in terrorism and organised crime.
It's been over 20 years since Australia was rocked by the Port Arthur tragedy, a senseless crime carried out with the use of an illegal firearm. The country then underwent sweeping gun control changes, making it illegal to obtain unlicensed weapons. 2 decades later, threats of organised crime and terrorism close to home has prompted the federal government to reintroduce the national gun amnesty.
The more we reduce the pool of illegal firearms, then the less likelihood that they're going to fall into the wrong hands.
It's estimated there are more than 260,000 illegal firearms in circulation right now. Last year alone, the state government netted more than 400 illegal guns through a similar amnesty of its own, which reached into the regions.
Somewhere between 40 and 50 firearms we've received over that time, and either re-registered them for the people or handed them on to the police and had them destroyed.
In total, more than 400 weapons were surrendered by the state, nearly 2/3 from country areas, with the majority handed into police stations. The new national regulation will begin from July 1st, giving those in possession of unregistered firearms 3 months to hand them in without fear of repercussions. During the amnesty, people can surrender their firearms at most police stations and licensed suppliers. No details need to be given and no questions will be asked.
At least they know where a firearm is at any one time, and that can only be good for the community.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Port Pirie police have arrested a 31-year-old man from Western Australia after he took a car for a test drive last week and then failed to return it. On Wednesday, June the 15th, the man allegedly went to a Port Pirie car dealer and took a Holden sedan for the test drive. However, he did not return the car. Over the following days, the man allegedly stole petrol from 2 local service stations. Just before 8 o'clock yesterday morning, a patrol car spotted the stolen Holden on Main Road in Port Pirie. The driver was arrested and charged with theft and 2 counts of driving off without payment. He was refused bail and appeared in the Port Pirie Magistrates Court yesterday. Port Augusta has been put on the map for renewable energy yet again, with a Chinese company looking to build the world's largest battery storage system outside of the city. Pangaea Energy met with the Port Augusta Council last week to discuss their plans after buying land for the project.
With Sundrop Farms, a solar PV project in the pipeline, and a potential solar thermal project, Port Augusta has received attention from Beijing, this time to build the world's largest battery storage system.
Pangaea originally came to council late last year and just had a look around and introduced themselves and roughly what they were looking to do. And obviously more recently, last week come back again with some representatives of their company from both Taiwan and Beijing, including their president who flew in from overseas.
Pangaea Energy looked in over 10 countries to build the project but chose Port Augusta, sealing the deal by purchasing land between Port Augusta and Stirling North.
We're well positioned on not just a state, not just a national, but a global scale to actually show the world we are leading the charge. We are changing the world and the way in which we do things.
The project will create over 200 jobs during construction and 20 ongoing.
At the end of the day, they chose Port Augusta on two reasons. One, political stability, and the second one is on their research they believe that there was a genuine will and want for their technology and renewables and a change in the energy market.
And Mayor Johnson says after seeing the rise and fall of the railways and the coal-fired power station, Port Augusta is going to have more than one industry. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
The role of the Spencer Gulf Cities Group in the Oz Minerals copper concentrate plant proposal was under the microscope at Whyalla Council last night. Oz announced last year that Whyalla was the preferred location of the plant, which will create 100 jobs. However, earlier this year, the company named a site near Port Augusta as its preferred location, despite the state government publicly supporting the Whyalla bid. Councillor Tom Antonio, who was acting mayor last year, asked what the group's position was on the proposal and whether it and the mayors of Port Augusta and Port Pirie would back the original Whyalla plan. And despite being involved in the reorganisation of the group, Mr Antonio also questioned why membership of the organisation had been changed to exclude educational institutions. In a testy exchange, the Mayor Lynn Brewer took all questions on notice and reminded Mr Antonio he may already know some of the answers.
What is the Spencer Gulf City's position on the location of the Oz Minerals copper concentrate processing plant? In order to better understand the reason behind the changes, can you please provide the reason behind the changes to the membership?
So some of those answers you may already have, however we'll put them together.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, a road safety push. Money for the regions as part of a pre-budget wish list. The details ahead. Welcome back. Improved country roads and a safety camera commissioner are on the RAA's wish list for the 2017 state budget. They also want an increase in road safety education in schools to help get the message of safe driving to the next generation.
Revenue raising or a genuine safety measure? The debate around speed cameras and their effectiveness is a hot topic of conversation. The RAA says Thursday's state budget should fund a commissioner that'll independently keep track of cameras.
It's all about looking at that whole of the operation of the system and identifying where improvements can be made.
Mr Mountain says many drivers are unaware if speed cameras are effective in reducing the road toll. He says reviewing their performance on an annual basis could restore trust.
So whether there's been progressive reductions in the rate of crashes at the locations where the cameras have been installed. So that obviously then can provide some basis and justification.
Also on their budget wish list is more funding for the Street Smart Schools program, with the RAA looking to do more visits to more schools.
Deliver education to primary school children about the key fundamentals of road safety. Currently we get out to about a quarter of all primary schools and we'd obviously like to increase that number.
And funding for improvements in country roads is another must-have.
It's about the quality of the road surface. In some cases it's the width of the pavement, the sealing of the shoulders.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Nearly 300 grain farmers attended two forums at Woodner and Cummins on the Eyre Peninsula to discuss the dry start to the season. The forums were headed by a panel of grain experts discussing options for planting if the dry spell continues. Port Lincoln is experiencing its driest June in 6 years, while further east the Steel City is facing its driest winter since 1947. Many grain farmers have begun dry sowing in an attempt to salvage the season, while others are hoping some rain forecast this weekend will give them enough to start seeding. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission has warned of a rise in scammers imitating government departments after rounds of phone and internet scams hit the region. Police are encouraging locals to check their facts before they provide their personal details online or over the phone. Here's Amelia with this week's Police Talk.
If something over the phone or online doesn't quite add up, police are urging people not to take the bait, as phone and internet scams have been doing rounds in the region.
Often we would use polite phone manners and feel it would be rude to hang up on people, but in this instance their only interest is to steal your money, resources, identity.
The ACCC says scammers have been imitating the Australian Tax Office, and locally police say they've been posing as internet and NBN providers. And the Port Augusta police are advising locals to hang up or double check.
So don't be afraid to hang up the phone, to ask them some personal questions, where they're from, why they're calling. Put the onus back on them to identify themselves. If you believe it's a scam, then don't be afraid to hang up the phone.
Police say those who believe they've been contacted by a scam can use this technique.
For instance, if someone is calling to say they're from the Australian Tax Office, people would feel obliged to give their personal information to that person, believing that they work for the government. If they don't believe that this is real, then the best idea is to then hang up the phone and then find out the actual number for the Australian Tax Offices in your region or online, and then call that number and ask from there what the query is.
For those who are concerned they've been affected by a scam, they can contact police or go to the ACCC's Little Black Book of Scams for more information. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, one of Broken Hill's most expensive pieces of art in store for a much-needed touch-up. The details ahead. Welcome back. One of Broken Hill's most expensive and recognisable artworks is about to be restored to its former glory. Arthur Hacker's Vae Victis will receive delicate cleaning and repair work, with the process to take up to 3 months.
A beautiful piece of artwork, but it's looking a little worse for wear.
All old artworks need cleaning, they need restoration, the frame needs restoration as well.
Artist Arthur Hacker painted Vae Victis in 1890, and it's valued at $800,000. The painting was carefully moved from its spot on the second floor of the gallery to a loading dock, and then it was transported to Melbourne in a climate-controlled truck. The restoration will target a damaged part of the painting and some chipping around the frame.
Well, we're using this as a really great opportunity to rehang the whole permanent collection. It's been like this for a number of years, so it's really good to make sure that the artworks rest so that they go down to the storeroom. And we're also bringing a lot of works out that people might not have seen before.
The painting depicts the 12th century sack of Morocco by the Almohad Caliphate. Miss Callaghan says it's been in Broken Hill for over a century.
George McCulloch, who was one of the Syndicate of Seven, so the founders of BHP, him and his wife actually donated some key pieces in 1904, and then another key piece was Vae Victis, donated by them in 1913.
The restoration will take up to 3 months.
But once we get the piece back, we're going to rest it for a bit longer, probably about a year we'll be resting that one.
Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
The Port Lincoln Council is collecting information from a community consultation for a new animal management plan. The plan will see changes to dog and cat management laws, which will include new desexing rules for all dogs in the community.
They're our furry companions that give us friendship, affection and safety, and that's why the Port Lincoln Council is eager to improve their welfare. New cats and dog registration laws have been put forward to the community to gather feedback on the best way to manage local pets.
We are now at the stage that that consultation is closed. We'll be having a look at what the public have said about the dog and cat management plan.
Some of the changes from July 1st will include desexing before registration.
Dogs, before they can be registered, will be microchipped and desexed. So a significant change. We want to hear what the community think about those sorts of things.
Meantime, the Mayor has offered his support to worried farmers, hoping a change in forecast is just around the corner.
We're really looking for a break in the season, and look, there's nothing really we can do about it except to support each other and plan for when the break in the season does happen, or dare I say, start to think about how we're going to manage if it's a drought coming.
And Mayor Green is still thrilled about visiting Sydney for the launch of the new Monopoly board featuring Port Lincoln, though there are a few things he's got in mind for the next edition.
The only improvement I could make is that none of the tokens that you move were either a shark or Matthew Flinders or something. So there's a real opportunity for us to cast our own specific tokens and add that to the package.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
The Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, Kaya Ma, visited Port Augusta yesterday to announce a $100,000 grant for an Aboriginal youth mentoring program. The Davenport Community Council will use the grant for a Growing Strong project to help Aboriginal youth at risk of incarceration to make better choices. The funding comes as part of the state government's 2017 Crime Prevention and Community Safety Grants program. Minister Ma says he was pleased to announce the grant as Davenport Council put forward a strong application.
So it'll benefit over the course of the year about 15 at-risk young people, but it'll also mean that elders will be getting involved, helping keep culture strong, but also teaching young people how to make good decisions for their future.
To sports news now. There was a different kind of mountain bike race held near Broken Hill over the weekend. Patrick Reinke joins us now from the Silver City. And Pat, there was a bit of luck involved in Saturday's Silverton Hotel poker race.
Yeah, Tim, the Broken Hill Mountain Bike Club's annual Silverton Hotel Poker Race sees riders or a team of riders complete 5 laps of the Silverton Heritage Trail. At the end of each lap, riders are given a playing card, and when everyone finishes, the best poker hand wins the grand prize. Over 50 local and visiting riders took part in the race, which sees them tackle some tricky terrain in the heart of Mad Max country. Riders started from the Silverton Hotel and then tried to complete 5 laps of the 6.6 kilometre track. All up, they rode 33 kilometres. All ages were involved, from energetic youngsters to veterans going at their own pace. The line honours went to Kumiala Mildura rider Tyler Berylson, who smashed the race record by a whole minute, completing the 5 laps in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Megan Allgate won the Open Women, recording a time of 1 hour 29. But the luckiest rider was Andy Schmidt, with a full house seeing him take home the artwork. Organisers say the event was a great success and the weather was perfect on the day. Moving into other sports now, and there were some great games in the netball. Starting in Port Pirie, and it was Celtic just getting the job done against Central Risdon. The game could have gone either way, but Celtic just held on to win by 1 goal. In the second game, Port powered home to defeat Solly by 10. In Whyalla, Warriors were too strong for Rupina, and YCW got the best of True Blue. And in Port Lincoln, Warnella blanketed St Mary's 71-11, Boston's downed Imperials 58-31, and Wayback did it comfortably over Souths United 61-42. Staying in Port Lincoln but moving into soccer, Lincoln City Raiders were on target in their match against South Coast, the Raiders securing a win 3-0. In the second game, Lincoln Knights did enough to beat Seacole Masters. And finally, in Broken Hill, St Joe's drew with Alma in a 3-all thriller, and West schooled a young Celtic team 7-zip. It was the same story in the women's, a one-sided win for West over Celtic, and another draw between St Joe's and Alma. So Tim, that does it for another week of local sport. And remember, if you want your sporting results on Southern Cross News, be sure to send them through to localsport@sca.com.au.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick Reinke there. Well, stay with us after the break. A check of how the local weather is panning out for the rest of the week. Welcome back to the weather. Now a fine and sunny day this Tuesday. 20 the top in Port Augusta, Whyalla and down into Port Lincoln as well. Port Pirie and Broken Hill both on 19. On the national satellite, still clear conditions over our region aside from a few light patches of cloud. Out on the waters, the winds to 10 knots in variable, the seas to 1.5 metres in southerly, sunrise at 24 minutes past 7. So looking at how tomorrow is shaping up, it's more of the same, really. Still no rain with 20 in Port Augusta and 19 for Whyalla and for Port Pirie. Port Lincoln also on 19 degrees, Broken Hill sunny and 17 degrees. And then looking ahead, those forecast showers have been pushed back to Saturday, so fine to run out the week in Port Lincoln, 20 then 19. Cleve with 19 both days, Woodner with 21 then 20. Whyalla with sunny skies and 19 then 20 as well to run out this week, 20 then 21 in Port Augusta, 18 both days for Kadina. Port Pirie with a fine 19 for Thursday, then a cloudy 20 on Friday, Clare with a sunny 16 for Thursday and Friday, Broken Hill 17 and then 19 degrees. And that is the local news for this Tuesday evening. Don't forget you can stay up to date with us anytime on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the Southern Cross News team. Have a good evening. Good night.